Hey, it's me, Big P, and welcome to the first episode of a new series for the channel called Game Gushers, where I pick a game that I've been playing recently and just kind of gush about it. The format of the videos, like the rest of my vids, are kind of just going to be one take sort of, improv, just gonna go over what happened in a game that I played. Age of Empires 2 is the game in question, and it saves a bunch of replays of the games. So you can see I've been playing a decent amount within the past month or so. I got into the Definitive Edition because of the Xbox Game Pass. I already had the HD Edition on Steam. As soon as my Game Pass ran out, I pretty much immediately went to go buy it for real on Steam because I've been playing this game a lot recently, but this was one of the first games I've ever played. So I think this is kind of a good start point for this series where I can kind of get into why I like this game, why I think it's held up so well, and just all the sort of little, because, there's so many layered things that I appreciate about this game that I think the only way to really do it justice, I don't really do heavily edited videos or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of go into a game. This is going to be a replay of a ranked match I did real quick before work yesterday, and just kind of go over the things I like about the game, the choices you can make as a player, and why I think it's held up so well. So let's get right into it. I don't have that much experience with casting the game or using the replay system. It just saves all the replays. I don't know how much space it's taken up. But it's space well spent on my computer. So we have a 1v1 here on Arena. Hopefully the mix... I do appreciate the music in this game. It's absolutely incredible. Even as a kid, you just kind of, all these tracks coming back to me, it's sweet. I will say probably a lot of what I like about the game right now is a little bit nostalgia, but even, my critical... modern game sensibilities are very pleased with what goes on in a game of Age of Empires. So I think we should kind of talk about the growth of myself as a player within the past month or so, where I kind of initially didn't really, I went from, pretty much doing nothing in terms of having a consistent sort of play style, just kind of figuring out, what different civilizations do, to kind of just, being really consistent. I think that I like the way that games kind of blossom out from a very consistent Dark Age. You go through the 4 ages, and the Dark Age is pretty consistent, save for a couple civilizations that have a couple weird quirks in what they start with, in terms of villagers and resources and things like that. You get your solid build order in the Dark Age. You just want to keep pumping out villagers here. You see where even Red shouts to Bruce Lame the Fourth. Cool guy. And we're here 1v1 area. This is a ranked match. You can queue up for ranked matches, which I didn't think I would be doing, but spoiler alert, I kind of do pretty well in this one. I'll kind of go through a lot of the choices I make. And yeah, so it's a game about choices and expressiveness, I think the game's... It's kind of amazing to me how the Dark Age is so consistent, and then I really sort of appreciate... Because, you can get your Dark Age fundamentals down. I got, 5 here on food, so that you can constantly be pumping out villagers. You gotta build houses while you're going, so you don't get housed. That means you never want to have TC downtime. You can see my boy here doing the same. I'm actually going to be curious. This is going to be nice to see the game from his perspective for a bit, to see what he did, maybe what he could have done differently, stuff that I did. I think it saved my player perspective, but for the sake of the cast, I'm going to sort of be swapping. I'm still playing around with the spectator mode. So we're going to speed up the Dark Age a bit, because it is a little boring, I would say. Just kind of, all you can really do in Dark Age is sort of gather resources and sort of set your economy up to see, what you can go into. A lot of the civilizations kind of have their own identity. Celts, I picked the Celts, and that was kind of one of my favorite what was it, Civilizations when I was a kid and playing this. I was playing this game when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Didn't really know what I was doing. But the Celts just kind of, I just like the Woad Raiders, the unique unit that we have. Where's that tech tree? The yeah, the Wood. I just like their little shields, and they don't have shirts on, and they kind of run around really fast. And you can see some of the bonuses that each civ has. When I was a kid, I played with full tech tree on all the time because I didn't like missing things. I would pretty much, you know, get everything that I could, even on like docks and stuff like that. That's not really how you play the game now in an actual game, especially a ranked one. There's going to be pressure, unit choices you make, you know, army composition, micro. It kind of just blossoms out into a bunch of wonderful sort of... oh, here's the micro god. See, micro god. You got to get that boar under the TC. I could have gotten a little bit closer because these guys are going to have to walk a bit to drop it off. But anyway, there's like a bunch of little things like that that you kind of get better at as you play through and try more and more. And it's been so fun to kind of get better as a player. And just like kind of see myself improve from, I mean, this is like, you know, 20 years in the making almost, because when I was a kid, I just like, you know, I like the catapults and stuff like that. That one was pretty much the same. Could have went up a little bit more. But hey, it's okay. I'm not complaining. That doesn't bother me at all. This doesn't, you know, I'm not gonna like, you know, chop down trees. Just, it's inefficient. You kind of got to wall up with your houses. That's what I do a lot. Let's see, I want to go into what he's doing. So, I don't really cast this game, ever, but like now that I kind of know what I'm doing, you can kind of compare. I mean, he's got a lot of idols. He had 3 up here. I think he got housed and then like kind of panicked. He built the lumber camp in kind of a weird spot where it's like, this is like the thin tree line. He's got a real thick tree line here. I'd probably focus on this one more. You know, you start with your resources, and then there's resources scattered around the map, and the stuff in the middle is kind of where most of the battle takes place in this map. So let's speed up a bit to see. I'm just building up more houses, get a couple on gold, kind of, you know, you double layer up your wall. This map's called Arena. It's a more closed map. I'm not really a huge fan of them because I feel like a lot of the game is really sort of making decisions like early, like walling up, setting up where you'll exist, because you want to defend your eco if you're getting rushed, keep it consistent. And, you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So Celts are... I use a lot of infantry and siege in this game to great effect. I'll definitely go into more detail about what I do when it happens. So first off, I built the barracks because I knew that... I think I checked his... wait, what is that? I can just check here. He was Chimera, so I think that's like an elephant civ, kind of, like a cavalry civ. And so you can do, against that, is build spearmen who get a bonus against cavalry. And the game is full of little, like, counters like that. You know, spearmen are not on horses, so they don't really have the speed and mobility that, you know, a normal horse cavalry would have. They can catch up to elephants, especially because the Celts' infantry moves a little faster. You know, it's just like a lot of little details like that that I never really got into as a kid. I didn't really understand. But... now that I'm kind of, you know, I'm watching games with pros, I'm in like replays and other casts and stuff. Shout out to, you know, people like T90 and of course Spirit of Allah, one of the best YouTubers just ever. Just ever. His videos are amazing to watch them all day, and I pretty much have. I've watched like all of his videos. And that really helped me get into this game like even more. It's just such a joy to be playing something that holds up so well, you know. In 2020, I'm still playing a game like this, and I think a lot of that is because it's kind of grounded. I played a couple games with a friend. Shouts to Ruski, the Mad Ruski. Follow him on Twitch. Best Apex blaster of all time. And he said he preferred kind of Rise of Nations, but I kind of like Age of Empires because it's kind of stuck in a more... It's like a earlier sort of time frame, whereas Rise of Nations, you know, it gets into like that like Civ tier, like, okay, we got like jets flying around and shit like that, and tanks or whatever. Whereas this kind of caps out, you know, within some sort of, I guess, medieval, maybe beyond the medieval age. I don't really know. You know, this game kind of mashes a bunch of history together for, you know, gameplay's sake, which is fine. So we're kind of scouting each other. I'm actually curious to see how much he's scouted. So the bases, the setups of the bases, the map types are pretty consistent a lot of time. You just kind of got, you find the relics, you gather these to your monastery with a monk, and you slowly generate gold. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, there we go. Glad I didn't get that on the recording. I really hope my mic was muted there. So he went up for a fast castle, which actually got me kind of worried at the time, I remember. But something that you can kind of do is just sort of keep pumping out villagers. You can see I'm building a couple spearmen now out of the barracks, just to kind of throw them around. I think I put, I knew that I wanted to gather the relics. I saw that he went castle age, and that's when you can build a monastery. And so I kind of wanted to just send some stuff to just guard the relics. And he starts making knights. So knights is like a knight rush is one of the first things that you can kind of do in a castle age, because there's like little bumps of power. You go dark age, feudal age, castle age, and imperial age. And knights are pretty tough. He doesn't have any of the blacksmith upgrades. I don't even think, no, he has a blacksmith back here. I remember I was kind of going over, so you can see what I'm researching here and stuff too. I was going over like, the timings of what he did. Oh god, did I get housed? Yeah, that was me. Let's see how I react to that. Let's go to my player perspective real quick, if I can. Okay, I have no idea. Yeah, view lock. So I start like microing around here. Just a little bit of an engagement here where he's chasing my scout, and let's see what goes on here. So it's just like the first little engagement. We kind of just have units scouting in the middle. I'm chasing them down. I think I have stuff. I build another barracks because I know I'm going to build a town center here. Kind of expand your economy. So villagers are the backbone of an economy because they can gather the resources and stuff. He actually lets my scout in, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I see he's dropping a castle here. He sends the knights to defend him. I kind of send my, let's get out of this view lock. Send my guy to kind of scout around, see what he's doing. I go up the castle. Got a bit of a fight here, and so the bonus damage, spearmen are normally pretty weak units, but I do have my upgrades on it at the blacksmith. And building an archery range. My guys are kind of weak, so he does get that castle up, and see all the units I have. I was building, so I queue up a bunch of spearmen on both my barracks. Something I learned pretty early on was, if you know what you're going into, be it like cavalry. Oh, my scout gets shot down here, but I did a little scouting, not too much. It's a sort of game where you kind of want to focus, like, it's better to make units twice as fast with 2 barracks. You could have one, like, also study, research some, like, barracks technology, things like that. And all the while, you kind of just let your, see, I built the other town center out here. You kind of let your economy just do its thing. I think a big thing that is kind of difficult to grasp, and definitely I'm still working on it, is bouncing between the micro and the engagements that are going on in the middle of the map and the economy at home. It's like a very satisfying sort of like little micro that you can do. So that guy, I think, just ran in, scout, that castle is up. And so I queue up a siege workshop up here. Celts have pretty good siege, they fire a little bit faster, and there's a couple siege units that I really like to use. So the pikemen don't really have great armor, but they counter his knights fantastically. So what I'm going to do here is make a bunch of rams. I like rams a lot to kind of push that castle, get the spearmen into effective range without taking some hits. Here's my monk. I think I gather this one, and I think I forget like a close one or something. Kind of a sloppy game. But, you don't have to be amazing at Age of Empires. You just have to be better than the other person. And a lot of times you can keep it steady and just kind of keep going, even after a big loss, you can reboom, as we call it. You lose some eco, you lose a lot of your military. Just keep it going. Let's speed it up a bit, because I am just making some units here. I don't want this to be a super long video. I feel like I want to do the game justice, but, I mean, maybe I'll make more Age of Empires content after this, because I definitely am going to keep playing this game. It's incredibly satisfying to play, and it has not gotten old in how many years, like how many years has this game been out? I honestly feel like I've wasted some time not playing this game and playing other games. So You can see he's kind of setting up a little forward base here. I thought he was going to collect the relic, actually. Does he even have a monastery? I don't know what he was doing. You know, just send out some villagers here to kind of gather these outer resources. I definitely should have, like, this is like a really interesting pocket that I should have, like, kind of built up here. Another 2 stone. I guess it's only 2 stones, so it's really not that worth. Kind of, you know, the map generation can get a little weird at times, but that's kind of what's fun about it. That's what, you know, goes in to a game and what happens. So this just ends up kind of being a really sloppy fight here. What you can do is you can garrison the rams, which have 180 pierce armor. So all these skirmishers aren't doing much. Definitely should have brought the pikemen out a bit earlier to defend the rams. One of my rams goes down super quickly. This was super sloppy on me. The siege weapons do incredible damage to buildings. And I don't think his micro is really... This is just a sloppy fight both ways, but that's just kind of what it breaks down into. I'm not sure why he went skirmishers instead of just standard archers. That might have honestly went way better for him if he did the standard archers, because skirmishers are more of like a counter archer unit, not really so much an archer unit themselves. I mean, they're okay, and it ends up okay for him. Oh, this part's heartbreaking right here. He barely gets the ram, and so... what you got to do now, I just kind of commit, because I know if I step away, I'll be in the castle's range. Let's also start building some scorpions to kind of combat this stuff, and this is where it gets real sloppy. So we're still building up some rams. I wonder what he's doing. He's researching... He's making a bunch of skirmishers. I really think he went way too heavy on skirmishers, which are now getting kind of picked off by my scorps. I do end up massing up the scorps. We put these guys into the rams to make it go a little faster, and this was really kind of lucky on my part where I get this castle down. That's kind of demoralizing for him. You know, even the villagers get a damage bonus against ram. He's really trying. He actually builds a petard, which are like suicide units that can come out of the castle. I was like, saw the explosion. I was really scared. So again, like I was saying, battle elephants, that's another type of cavalry that pikemen get a bonus against. Like, this is a disaster. I'm like moving the rams back when this is just like, you know, a couple hits away from destruction, but I do end up taking the castle down. Like, he's got a repair up, and there it goes. And so now I can kind of regroup. You see I queue up a bunch more spearmen that I'm making here, pikemen rather. Spearmen's the feudal age version, and then pikemen's the dark age. And so yeah, just a little engagement there that I kind of took pretty well. Destroyed the castle, kind of stopped production on the town center, and he's really flustered, he's frazzled, he's making a bunch of skirmishers. Again, not entirely sure why he did that. Meanwhile, I've kind of steadied out my economy, so I was running low on wood, so I put way too many on wood. You got to kind of balance between that, because farms are sustained by wood. You know, you got to farm up the gold and stuff that you have to buy. See, I'm buying a bunch of, this is the damage. I'm spamming a bunch of scorpions to kind of have the crowd control for the skirmishers. You get some pretty good engagements here. There's another concept in Age of Empires is kind of massing the units before you fight. You know, the worst thing you want to do is just like, if I had these guys just kind of flood into here, they wouldn't really be doing much. Build another siege workshop. Again, you know, 2 barracks, 2 siege workshops. I like to build the siege workshops a little bit more forward, as long as they're in a defensible position, because they are very slow moving units. So here we get another little engagement, a skirmish, if you will, with the skirmishers. Definitely lose a couple here of the scorpions to the elephants, to kind of just move on in. They're chasing down my ram. It's really rough. I think this guy barely survives the ram. I ungarrison the pikemen, and then the you know, you just kind of, a lot of the times you can kind of just let your army kind of go and just do what they want, and they'll automatically pick the units they're good against. My kind of get some sloppy micro here. Again, I want to mass the pikes and the I would do repair up my siege here, but you want to mass the pikes and the scorpions and the rams, so you can kind of make a full consistent attack with the full force. And that's kind of another thing I like about the game, is that, you know, eco is one side of things, and like that's where it starts. You know, you build up his base. I'm not crazy about this guy's farms. Ooh, they're really triggering me. Like, look at this. That's his mill. Like, why you build the farms like up here? Oh, he's Khmer, so it doesn't matter. I'm just realizing this now. Still though, like, I think even when I'm Khmer, you know, I make the farms neat. So I don't know. I have to worry about the farm. So placement for me is extremely important. I'm just that type of dude who it's just like, ooh, I wish I could fill out like, you know, this area with the farm, but you know, whatever. Don't get into that sort of thing. So I go over to, you know, I just kind of spread out some villagers just in case, you know, you can lose a couple of villagers if you just want to see, just cover the resources of the map. A lot of the game, you know, the fights only really start because of resource control. You know, people are moved towards, I mean, this relic, which he still hasn't taken, that's what I was going for. It's sloppy of me to have left that one. You know, I got this monk doing nothing. Normally what I do, they added like shift queuing movements and stuff like that. Oh my god, this is the best song in the game. The sound design in this game, you know, just with the little, you know, they talk, or I love that sound that the scorpions make. You know, just, this was before I even knew what memes were as a kid, you know, but like so much of the voice line, it's so expressive. So I did end up going to Imperial Age. Got housed again, but the spearmen have gone, the pikemen rather, have gone all the way up to halberdier. I'm researching all of the, infantry tech that I want. You know, again, because, you know, you want to do a little bit more damage. Just because they're spawned already doesn't mean they won't get the tech. I like what he did here, just a little, like, cheeky house barricade to kind of protect his town center. I do end up going right around it here. We've got 4, 5, 3, 4, so we got about, like 12 or 15 halberdiers sitting pretty in the rams, sheltered from the TC fire. And look at that. The rams move faster. I don't know if they do more damage. And here's where, oh, he's got them all grouped up. Hit him. Look at this, right here. Ooh, the scorpions, man. I loved them when I was a kid. They're trash against buildings. You really want to leave the rams for the buildings. And there you go. Now the flood comes out. You know, now the halberdiers are in safe range. Kind of send them out and just hope for the best. You know, I kind of micro up my halbs to fight the elephants because I know they'll do a lot of damage to them. I kept these guys safe. Meanwhile, the rams, not great micro here. You know, they're kind of just sitting around. I destroyed the houses, shit like that. Kind of push in here. I think this is about where he calls it, yeah. So, got a little overwhelmed there. You go back to the map and just see exactly what happened. A lot of times in the game, you know, rage quitting. We'll call it resigning. You know, resigning with grace. But you know, you can rage quit in the game. It's almost you know, you don't want to waste other people's times because the games can go on pretty long. And this is such a good song, you know. And yeah, so that's like just a little example. I don't know if I covered exactly why I love this game so much, but I mean, I kind of talked through the entirety of the cast. You know, just a bunch of little things that add up. So I guess, you know, I want to leave the video with is just sort of, I don't even know, like, what, it's just Age of Empires 2, you know. It's like, if you told me I would be playing this game in 2020, I'd be like, yeah, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's like something that's like, oh, I remember this game, you know, back in the day when I was a kid and I didn't know shit about games. But now I know a lot of shit about games, and I love a lot of the shit that this game does, like the little scorpions and stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. If you like this sort of vid, the format of this series is going to depend on the game specifically. I thought I would kind of take advantage of the replay function that we had here in this game, to sort of see, you know, what we could, you know, I didn't want to be like playing, I would get like super distracted. This game is like very intense sometimes, and it's, you know, you kind of have to really focus on what you're doing and stuff like that. So kind of, it's nice to have the option to sort of like cast like pre-recorded games. You can kind of go into like stuff that people do and people make. That guy was, you know, it's kind of a lame. I think he went out real early. Again, I have no idea why he was making skirmishers. I probably would have just pushed into his base beyond that. So maybe he knew that. He probably could have massed up some, you know, he was kind of letting his units filter in. Again, we were talking about kind of letting your units mass up to an effective amount before doing a fight. But yeah, there's a lot of things like that. Maybe we'll have some more Age of Empires content on the channel. But for now, I just want to leave it at that. You know, this is kind of a solid first episode, I think, of why I love Age of Empires 2. Best game ever. Thanks for watching the channel. I'm gonna take a little break, have a snack, and actually go live and play some ranked games right now on Twitch. So yeah, before that new Path League drops, we're probably going to be doing a little bit of this. And maybe some Kenshi too. I might do a game Gushers on Kenshi. I don't know if I really, you know, am in love with that game enough to do it justice. A lot of the Kenshi videos I've seen are pretty heavily edited because of like the downtime in the game that's present in the game. You know, you kind of just like sometimes you playing the game is literally, oh damn, I got beat up and I gotta sleep. But whatever, we're getting off topic. Age of Empires 2, best game ever. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.